Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz singer and voiceover artist Marsha Bartenetti. We got into her new 2026 single New York Minute and an upcoming album coming out at the end of this year, along with a storied career in both music and the voiceover arts. She is a smooth, rich, expressive singer with the ability to bring authenticity to each song with heartfelt vocals that transport a lyric straight into your heart. She started her career in the San Francisco Bay Area in the late 1960s. The music scene was alive with incredible talent and opportunities. Her band with her ex-husband opened for such acts as the Youngbloods and played at venues like the Troubadour in Los Angeles. She left the stage for a time, but she continued working in the studio, recording national jingles for such companies as Bank of America, Chevron, and so many others. One of her largest clients was Octal Communications, a voice messaging company that was definitive, serving companies worldwide. Her voice undoubtedly has been one that you've heard over and over. Marsha was the American English voice for Octal and heard by millions across the globe. Enjoy this story and interview.
It's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Sure.
So before we get into the new material, I want to begin with this question. I always do. 6 years ago, this pandemic really changed the landscape for all of us, especially musicians. How did you get through that time period? How has it affected the way that you create and do things today?
Well, the pandemic was interesting because I was just starting to do an album with two songwriters, Jane McNeely and Alice Coons, who had previously recorded this entire record with an orchestra, and they didn't like the vocalist, so they called me and asked me to come and sing the songs, and which was already a challenge to begin with because it was pretty much set with an orchestra. So I had to find my way of owning the material to sing it well. But anyway, we started recording this record, and we got through one song, then the pandemic. So we had to record it with me going in the back door to the studio, the producer and the engineer in the other room. We couldn't connect. We had a computer screen in the recording studio, in the booth where I was. So it was very challenging, but we did it, and I'm very proud of what we came up with at the end of the day. But it was challenging.
Yeah, certainly was. So talk to me about New York Minute. Talk to me about new material. Just kind of give me an idea of what's going on right now.
Well, New York Minute is another single that I've released, which will be completed with other songs for an album at the end of the year. And New York Minute was a song that I've always loved. I hadn't heard it for years. And then I heard it one day, and I thought, I need to record this. It is still relevant today. And called my producer, Stefan Oberhoff, who helped with an arrangement and just came up with an incredible arrangement and some really interesting ideas for texture of the song. I'm all about lyrics, and regardless of the genre, if I find a good lyric, I will cross a genre. And this is a great lyric. And it really does appeal to so many people now because things are changing so rapidly. And just to honor where you are, love the ones you're with, pay attention, be mindful of what's happening today because things are just crazy out there. So I wanted it to end actually on an upbeat, with something positive. So I don't know if you've seen the video that we did of the song, but we got visuals to back the material and back the single. And I'm really happy with that because I wanted to end with hope. And that's pretty much where I'm coming from anyway. I want to connect with my audience and bring some hope to the table.
Yeah, and I did see those visuals, and that kind of leads into my next question here, which is, we are living through crazy times right now, and particularly in America, there's so much going on, politically and otherwise, that's making people a bit frightful. And I think that music has always been a glue for all of us to feel connected. Art's been a saving grace for all of us. How much of living through this kind of odd time we're in right now are you thinking about when you put out recordings and play live and give people music as kind of an escape, so to speak?
Absolutely, as a healer. And that seems to be my job. I feel like it's my job to bring that to people, to say we are connected and music does heal and it gives us time away from all the madness to just come back to self and to remember the goodness between us, that we have, whether it's in a recording, pardon me, or a live performance. If I've done that and I've connected with my audience in that way, then I feel like I've done my job.
So
I'm very mindful when I choose songs to record or to sing of what the lyric is saying. I always have been and continue to select material that way.
So talk to me about the construction of this new album. What was kind of the overall vision, and what are you ultimately hoping the listener gets from this project?
I've chosen songs from the past, the 70s, some 60s, and reimagined. We have Dust in the Wind. We have Coming Back to Me, which was a Jefferson Airplane song, reimagined for today. So I've been recording these songs over the past few years collectively, and during the pandemic, of course, everything was slowed down except for that one album that I did. So it's been just time has passed in the collection of these singles to create the album. So it's just reimagining these songs that I love, that I hope the audience will love too. And again, the songs are about reconnecting and to just think about where we are in life and hopefully soothe some of the angst through the music. I have wonderful people I work with as well, so I'm very lucky that way.
So take me back to your beginnings. Where were you born and raised? How did music become this evolved place that you're at right now in your career?
Well, I'm from the East Coast. I was born in Rhode Island, lived in the country, so I was very attuned with nature, always loved music. I've always heard a symphony of music in my life. But we moved to California, to Palo Alto. My father worked at Stanford, and got into the music part of my life in high school. I was in a band in high school. My friends talked me into going to audition for this band just because I used to sing, with friends, and loved it, and it never stopped. I just kept going and met my first husband through music, and we performed together for 11 years as a duo and did some recording, and then I won the best vocalist it was an international songwriters competition back in the 80s, and it just kept propelling forward. It was like everything I do is around voice. So if I wasn't singing, I was singing jingles or doing voiceovers, and I've been doing voiceovers now for many years as well. So my life has always been about the voice.
So who were early influences? Who were you listening to? Who was kind of seminal in your development as to how you were going to approach the microphone and the stage?
Well, remember, it was the 60s when I was in music, so the Jefferson Airplane. I used to go to the Fillmore Auditorium in San Francisco and see Jimi Hendrix for $3.50, or, Big Brother and the Holding Company, or, all those great bands. So Linda Ronstadt was a contemporary, and we were just in a magical time for music back then. And also I loved Billie Holiday and Dinah Washington, and so I was always moved by different genres of music, but just what they delivered. Like Billie Holiday for me was so incredibly, you could find every nuance in her voice, from her abject pain and where she was coming from in her life, all the way to the absolute joy of singing. It was all in her voice. And I love that depth, and I love that, it really touched my soul to hear her sing. So I wanted to find that for myself. What was it that I was bringing to the table? Where was the truth in the lyric for me? And I found that the truth in the lyric for me, and when I mined the depth of that, when I told the truth and sang the song through that lens, it became everybody's song because it became humanity. We all have those feelings. So my truth was just released into becoming the audience's experience in their own lives, which is pretty magical. It's the alchemy, I think, of this work. So it just hasn't stopped. I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what was the first live show you saw that blew you away and maybe laid the foundation for the way that you would approach the stage?
Oh, man. It goes way back. I mean, you know, maybe it was Jimi Hendrix. He's not even the singer, but the way he played. But certainly, oh, gosh. There's so many, Joe. So many.
Yeah, I bet. Well, I mean, it's not even the first one, but like an early one, or it could just be the collective, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was fortunate to hear Linda Ronstadt. I was back in the day. Let's see. That's a good question. I should know that, but it's just like a tapestry of so many artists. Believe it or not, Kenny Loggins put on a great live show. I don't know if you've ever seen him live, but
you know,
he was
yeah, I can believe it totally.
Yeah, he was an amazing performer, and just really was inspiring. Yeah, I can't really pinpoint one.
I mean, between Kenny Loggins and Hendrix and all of those in between, I could totally imagine. So let me ask you this: you've been at this a long time, whether it's singing or voiceover. What is it that gets you up every day? What is it that makes you love to present your voice and your music to people? What is that motivation every day for you?
Really, it's all about connection for me. If I'm able to connect something that has inspired me that I feel would be a healing aspect to someone else's experience, then I've done what I've wanted to do. It's all about that for me. It's the connection of music to the spirit and to soothe. It's an important element in our lives. I mean, let's face it, when we remember songs from when we were little kids, music affects us in ways that are a lot deeper than we may realize. Certain songs and lyrics will affect wounds that we have that, you know, if you remember a song year after year after year and it's still important to you, there's something going on there that's trying to express something to your soul about a healing or about a wound or about, you know, how you can feel better about your life. That's the deep water I live in.
Yeah, I totally get it, for sure. So let me ask you this. When you were younger and you were thinking about getting into this work, and we all have these dreams of what our life's going to become and what it's going to be like, what was the first stage? What was the first project that you did where you were like, wow, I can't believe this is happening? And on the other side of that, what is a stage, what is a project that you haven't done that you would love to conquer at this point in your career?
One of the major things that happened when I won that award for Best Vocalist, and I got to record with two amazing writers at Motown who wrote, you know, huge hits for Motown, Kenny Hirsch and Ron Miller, who wrote For Once in My Life, major songs. So I got to record with them, and we put out a record, or we put out a demo was before the record. And I thought, this is it. This is magic. What the three of us were doing in the studio, I thought, I've found my group, my people. And unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. The magic was in the studio with them, but with all of the things that can happen in the business, it didn't work out. So my dreams at that point were crushed. It turns out I was recording a song that had been in the archives of Motown for a long time. The woman had recorded the material 10 years prior, and nothing had happened with her record, so they just tucked it away. And when I went down there to choose songs to record with these guys, I chose this one song. And they kept saying, oh, no, it's been done. We'll just, no. And I said, no, I really want to do this song. And it was a song called I've Never Been to Me, which turned out to be number 2 in the country. And she came back, because Motown decided, wait a minute, we already have this record, So they put the song out. And I thought, well, okay, maybe it's her turn because she recorded this a long time ago. I'll just get my turn later. So it was one of those wonderful experiences that turned into, oh my God, dashing away. So.
Wow.
Yeah. It was tough. But that, everybody has a story in the business about things like that. So it just depends on how you respond to them, I suppose. And I thought, I still have my talent, I still have my integrity, I still have all of this. I will just continue on. And found my way back to music after I'd left for a while. That's when I got into the voiceover business. And you probably heard my voice because I was the voicemail queen. I was on all the voicemail systems pretty much, most of them, for years.
I probably do.
Before Siri, yeah.
Yeah, you were the one.
I was the voicemail queen, yeah.
How did you land that gig? That's it. That's you. Wow. How did you land that gig?
I was living in Northern California, and we all auditioned for it. And the thing that's interesting is that I know my voice so well and the rhythm of my voice so well that I can do, we had to record at that time just one word at a time to create a sentence. You just couldn't record an entire sentence in the beginning. So, we had to record the voice lilting up at the end of a word or lilting down at the end of a word or being neutral on both sides of a word, depending on where it was in a sentence, so that it would sound connected when it was completed. And I was really good at that. So we recorded thousands and thousands of prompts and numbers. You have 1 or 100. You know what I'm saying? So I had to do all. Totally. I had to do all 3 versions of like one number for hundreds of numbers. It was wild. It took several months for us to do it. Yeah, but that was something.
Wow.
And again, there was that one phrase, Joe, that I did on this. There was one phrase that I could record the entire sentence, and it was, "Are you still there?" And people would come at these PR events that I would do for Octel and say, "Can you say, are you still there? Are you still there?" So what was it about that got through the digital mire,
Yeah.
It was so interesting. Yeah.
That is. That's really interesting. So I'm curious, after all of this time, this long career that you've had in both voiceover and singing, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, fans, everyone on the bandstand, clients, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Who do I think I am? I just feel like I'm a healer. I feel like I just give my voice over to help find peace. And part of that's peace with myself, which transcends over to my audience or my band. But I don't know.
That makes sense. No, that's good.
Hopefully kind.
Yeah, no, sometimes brevity with that answer is the best way to go. So I got to know, with all these wonderful bands that you've seen, if you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see one band anywhere or one singer, where are you going? Who would you love to see?
Billie Holiday.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Billie Holiday, for sure. And in fact, I had a drummer in my band who played with Billie Holiday. He's now he's 96 years old now. And when I was working with him, 10 years ago, when I first met him, I said, I told him I loved Billie Holiday, and I had just recorded a record and recorded God Bless the Child. And he said, oh, I'd love to hear it. And then he tells me he worked with her, and then I was so afraid for him to hear it. Like, oh no, he's going to judge me. And he loved it. So then we started working together. And it was really magical. And Kenny, his name is Kenny Dennis. He was married to Nancy Wilson.
Okay.
And he's a marvelous drummer, really wonderful drummer when he was playing. So we worked together, for several years.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to pick up the new singles, New York Minute, if anybody wants to get the album that's coming out later this year, live shows, anything else going on in your world, where's the best place for people to go?
Probably my website. The record will be finished by the end of the year. New York Minute is available on all platforms, and Apple Music and YouTube. And invite you to go see the video that we did, which I'm very proud of. So that's where they can find it.
Perfect. And I will make it easy. I will put links in the show notes. Marsha, so great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz today. I appreciate it.
So great to talk with you, Joe.
Thanks for listening and tuning into another Neon Jazz interview. We give you a bit of insight into the finest players and minds and singers in Los Angeles, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Marsha for her time and story. If you want to hear more Neon Jazz interviews, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us at YouTube, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to theneonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Strange in a New York minute. Whoa, everything can change.
Neon Jazz.